Hello, I'm John Segali, and welcome to our informative webinar on logistics and supply chain analytics. In today's rapidly changing economy and tenuous global situation, it's more important than ever for businesses to leverage data-driven insights to optimize their logistics operations and gain a competitive edge. In this webinar, we'll explore key indicators and solutions to help you stay ahead. We'll discuss how to effectively gather and analyze data to develop a more ingenious logistics strategy, and how working with teams of experts can provide valuable insights and guidance. Joining us today is the G3 Logistics team. G3 Enterprises, with technical expertise in 3PL and transportation, is a leading supply chain provider in the food, beverage, and ag industries. Their team will share their insights and experience in supply chain optimization and management. Discover how G3 Enterprises can help your business thrive in today's dynamic marketplace. Let me introduce our speakers. First is Lisa Peterson, the Business Development Principal of G3 Global Logistics. She has more than 25 years experience in intermodal transportation and warehousing, working across a number of industries, including wine, industrial products, and consumer packaged goods. She works with G3 customers located in the West Coast to deliver new solutions. John Genoways, the Business Development Principal of G3 Logistics at G3 Enterprises, came to G3 following a nearly 30-year career in the railroad, running operating divisions for Union Pacific's Intermodal Group and sales organizations for food and beverage customers. Today, John works with G3 customers located in the Midwest and Northeast, delivering new solutions. And Nicole Ostertag, Director of Business Development of Global Logistics at G3 Enterprises. She joined G3 following nearly a decade of working for the railroad in the chemicals, food, and beverage sectors. She joined G3 to lead the warehouse operations and customer service segments for a 100 million annual case customer who G3 provides dedicated 3PL services. Today, she leads the company's logistics business development, customer onboarding, and go-to-market strategy and efforts. We have a great lineup, and with that, I'll turn it over to Lisa to get us started.
Thank you, John. G3 Enterprises is an industry leader in integrated solutions for logistics, packaging, real estate, and minerals. We're a family-owned company valuing long-term relationships with customers, industry, and community partners. As a logistics provider, we have spent over 50 years perfecting the supply chain for some of the best brands in food and beverage. G3 Logistics has an understanding of the industry that only comes from experience in rail, truck transport, and warehousing. Supply chain analysis is a full data review and process map of a company's journey from raw materials through manufacturing to distribution and finally to the end customer. A supply chain analysis often includes a visual representation of the process to establish clear steps throughout the product's journey. The associated costs, time, and service are correlated to each step of the process. From there, supply chain analysis gets into the actual analytics and identifies efficiencies and inefficiencies in both how and where those flows are happening. A good supply chain analysis then provides the data that quantifies those inefficiencies and recommends opportunities for improvement. This process helps leaders within the organization understand the true impact of the overall business ecosystem. A good analysis will determine areas for a business to focus efforts on service improvement, cost reductions, ease of doing business, or any other efficiency opportunity. By completing a supply chain analysis exercise, businesses will have actionable items for leaders to improve their supply chain. The main categories of supply chain cost drivers are procurement of product and materials, transportation of raw materials and finished goods, storage and inventory costs, working capital for holding inventory, and quality-related results and issues. Within the procurement of goods, there are a few key ways to save on costs. Negotiate better prices, negotiate better terms, buy in bulk or use volume discounts, and streamline your procurement process. An area you can focus your cost or efficiency savings efforts is transportation. One way is by procuring raw materials or products that are located closer to your manufacturing facilities or end customers. Shifting modes can improve cost savings impacted by allowing longer lead times within your supply chain. Capacity utilization can drive savings by putting more product into the same asset where allowable. Balancing inventory is a tricky problem. There needs to be enough of your raw materials or products to ensure your manufacturing is both consistent and meets your customers' demand. But carrying or holding that inventory costs money, both in the cost to store and potentially in costs associated with producing and holding your goods until a sale is made. Finally, quality is another opportunity to evaluate your supply chain. Line of sight to damage, expiration, and the ability to inspect and assure the quality of your products is vital, especially in food and beverage. For some products, this includes compliance with local rules and regulations. Variation in both the products produced as well as how many products you can have on hand also adds complexities, which generally means more cost. All of these changes have trade-offs, sometimes within the same list. For example, a modal shift in your transportation provides cost savings, but may drive up inventory due to slower transit. A supply chain analysis is the process that helps you identify which of these costs are the greatest, which are the easiest to solve, identify the trade-offs, and compares those trade-offs to the savings and ultimately drives a recommendation. Now here's John Genoways to discuss rail and sustainability.
Thank you, Lisa. The pandemic disrupted the entire supply chain, and many industries are still recovering. Those who had well-developed supply chains and heavy investments in analytics better understood their carrier and customer behavior and were least impacted by the pandemic. Just-in-time inventory became whenever we get it there. There was an overwhelming need to understand where products and materials were hung up in the supply chain. As a result, the pandemic also drove an innovation revolution. Technologies began to be rolled out, adopted, and improved at a much more rapid rate. End-to-end visibility, even in a multi-mode environment, made huge leaps forward due to necessity. At the same time, labor challenges created new problems for companies to solve, and in many situations, technology was able to improve operations to allow companies to do more with less people. The biggest takeaway, in my opinion, from the pandemic was that supply chains matter, and they need to be at the forefront of your company's strategy, and not just an afterthought. Companies turn to analytics to solve these problems, and in many ways improve their service advantages to their customer base. Analytics can provide you with that competitive edge. First, with end-to-end visibility, as we just mentioned. Single platform technologies or advanced integrations allow for supply chain data to be gathered in a single system or place to see all parts of the process in one view. The days of pain points being captured anecdotally or by your sales team were moved to metric-oriented systems that captured when, where, how, and how often these pain points occur. When trying to problem solve for those pain points, it's easier to identify where in the supply chain the issue is occurring, often reducing time wasted hunting resolutions or solutions for the wrong problem. Using analytics, you can reduce cost in your supply chain and either offer a better price to market or capture those savings in the form of higher margins and more dollars to your bottom line. This shift to data-driven decision-making removes the guesswork from the process and makes it easier to quantify the savings that will be realized from each change. The more reliable that data is, the more likely you can count on it to make those price or bottom line adjustments. Additionally, you'll have more usable data at your fingertips to forecast and demand plan. staging your inventory more often in the locations that are most efficient from a storage and transportation perspective, and reducing your time to serve your customers. Big data and data analytics can then aid any continuous improvement initiatives by helping you track and monitor your supplier's performance, whether that's your raw materials, trucking carrier, warehouse partner, or parcel delivery service. Finally, supply chain analytics facilitate robust customer conversations about their business and your performance against peers through benchmarking. Just as individual consumers now expect their online orders to arrive in a matter of hours or days instead of days or weeks, and be able to track their order every step of the way, so do your customers. Customers are craving the same information that we just talked about in evaluating your own supply chain. Sharing real-time visibility with your customers reduces interactions with your customer service team, freeing up their valuable time and improving their experience doing business with you. Sustainability improves the quality of our lives, protects our ecosystem, and preserves natural resources for future generations. In the corporate world, sustainability is associated with an organization's holistic approach, considering everything from manufacturing to logistics to customer service. There are 3 advantages of sustainable development. 1, it helps in ensuring a better life for present and future generations. 2, lowers the impact on the environment by reducing air, water, and soil pollutions. Or 3, it helps in achieving long-term economic growth. Now, converting truck to rail is a quick and easy first step in any corporate sustainability program. Moving freight by rail instead of truck reduces GHG emissions by up to 75%. On average, railroad moved 1 ton of freight 463 miles on a single gallon of diesel fuel. Railroads account for 40% of U.S. freight, but only 2% of U.S. transportation-related GHG emissions. Railroads are spending unprecedented dollars in reducing their carbon footprints even more. By 2030, 20% of their diesel consumption will be renewable and biodiesel fuels. The first electric locomotives are being tested this year in both warm and cold climates. Companies that had multimodal platforms to get their products to market weathered the pandemic better than companies with a single domestic mode. One of the most important points learned is that not all products need just-in-time delivery. Companies that had just-in-time platforms couldn't get their products to market due to world supply chain shortages. Companies with multimodal logistics platforms and warehouse safety stock fared much better. Boxcar, intermodal, and warehouse transload operations became relief valves for other disrupted modes of freight. One such example was East Coast ports transloading from international boxes into boxcars instead of moving the ocean box inland, saving costs and providing supply chain flexibility at the port. Finally, rail-based solutions have very stable pricing and supply. Railroads do not depend on government financing to improve their infrastructure. You won't have double-digit increases for the end of quarter or peak season freight surges. How many times have you signed an agreement with a common over-the-road carrier on price and later find out you can't get capacity at that agreed-upon rate? Or worse, the carrier needs more money because demand for their services has spiked. Having an intermodal or boxcar rail solution in your logistics portfolio reduces that risk significantly. And with that, I turn it over to Nicole.
Thanks, John. It was great to hear how the railroads are improving their sustainability initiatives. Another area for opportunity with supply chain analytics is improving your customer relationships. In addition to better visibility to data, as we've just discussed, you can also become more reactive, quicker, and head off problems before they reach your customers. For example, real-time in-transit data through a visibility platform will allow you to see if your order has been delayed in transit before it misses its delivery appointment. In some instances, particularly with longer transit items, a reorder can be executed ahead of that delivery window, and even possibly expedited in order to either avoid missing that commitment entirely or reduce the time by which you miss that delivery commitment. Another way to reduce disruption is through damage. No matter how perfect the supply chain, occasionally damage does occur. An example with a G3 customer is around our railcar fleet. Our railcar fleet is equipped with shock monitors that allow us to see excessive G-forces en route to our warehouses. Using the same chain of thought above around in-transit visibility, food and beverage customers with sensitivity to temperature may be able to see issues with reefer units, winter storms, etc., in transit, and warn their warehouses, customers, resupply, or hold for quality ahead of that arrival. Good supply chain data can also be tied in directly to your ERP or other planning system. This can even include returns or canceled orders. Having this data more accurately plugged into your systems will allow you to plan more accurately, and a good analytics tool can also be used to even predict your customers' needs and future behavior. By planning more effectively what your customer will purchase, you can cut out costs around having inventory in the wrong locations, or even all the way back to what production decisions you make, and reduce the risk of out of stocks when your customers order products from you. Specific to the logistics and execution elements of a supply chain, using a 3PL provider to do all of this work exclusively or to supplement your supply chain team's work in this area can be incredibly helpful. A good 3PL will have visibility to industry best practices and be able to make recommendations based on their experience across similar companies to yours, enabling better focus on the areas for improvement within your organization. Ultimately, the cost of adding this 3PL service should be offset or more than offset by the savings they are able to help you find within your supply chain. Finally, it may seem like a daunting task to establish technology and capabilities in the areas required to do all of the analytical work we've discussed in this presentation. A 3PL can provide that easy button to qualify teams to do this work, or to allow you to use the technology that they've already implemented for their own business. Let's take a look at an example from one of our customers on how they utilize G3, a 3PL, to complement and improve their supply chain analysis. G3 was working with a bottled water company to do a supply chain review. The supply chain review started with a simple center of gravity analysis, which took a look at their existing forward distribution centers to see where there could be improvements to those locations in order to yield real dollar savings. The analysis then expanded to a full network optimization, which enabled solution ideation around changing the port of import and adding and enabling a transload to boxcar rail. This allowed the customer to work with their ocean carrier on improved pricing now that those ocean containers were unloaded sooner and closer to the port. The optimization work also added a third distribution center, which improved efficiencies with serving their end customers and reduced their overall transportation cost. The results yielded a 14.5% savings to their previous supply chain network, as well as took an estimated 16,000 tons of carbon emissions out of their supply chain, which was a critical factor to the decision to implement these changes, as the company is certified carbon neutral and has a large focus on improving their environmental impact. If you're excited about what you heard on our presentation today, but not feeling certain that you know where to start, reach out to the G3 team that you met here today to obtain your company's complimentary analytics report. We'd be happy to help you figure out where to begin on your supply chain analytics journey.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you all. That was some fascinating insight, and not surprising, we have some questions. You've given us a lot to think about. So let's get to the questions. How will I know if my business is large enough to benefit from utilizing rail?
Great question, John. Really, the answer to that is that any business can now use rail. There's been a lot of improvements in the areas of consolidation and deconsolidation that have allowed shippers to then pool their traffic together, going from like origin to like destination, that allows you to ship in less than railcar quantities with similar freight going to those same destinations that I mentioned. So really, anybody can now use rail.
Okay, that's great. John, what are the primary reasons food and beverage companies are turning to a rail-based supply chain?
Another good question, John. I can think of multiple, but maybe just two main reasons for this is one is financial. Many of these customers, especially the ones that are denser in products, are able to get a 3.5 to 4 to 1 converting to boxcar. And the other one is, like I talked about, is sustainability. What a green approach of people that have those type of initiatives can really get a big bang for just converting to rail. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, that was very informative. Lisa, G3 is based in California. I'm based in the Midwest. So who do I call if I need a question answered or need some assistance?
Of course. G3's main customer service team is located in California, but we have employees working all hours to support U.S. time zones across the nation. We also have customer service and transportation warehousing at 16 facilities across our network to support local as well as national customers.
That's great to know. Nicole, when you were commenting about your approach, you mentioned the center of gravity. When you analyze the center of gravity, is that based on G3's existing offerings, or is it truly tailored for my business?
Excellent question, John. The center of gravity analysis, or really any other network optimization that G3 would do for our customers, is based on the absolute optimal network for that specific customer's business. If that customer is then interested in G3 providing solutions or enabling those changes to their supply chain, we can then tweak and tailor that network analysis to G3's network to show our capabilities and how those might fit within that supply chain analysis.
Okay, well, let me follow up with another question. How much confidential information do I need to share with G3 to develop a thorough analysis?
Another great question, John, and something that's really important to our customers is their data security and privacy. And so all of our customers typically execute an NDA with G3 so that you know and have confidence that G3 will not share your information beyond what's required to do the analysis. And so that's really not an issue for our customers. It's very simple. We need information around your orders and what time and where those went in order to get started.
And if I want to learn more, if I want to pursue receiving a complimentary analytics report, I just go to the G3 Enterprise website?
Yep, you can start there, or there's a link right on your screen for the specific supply chain analysis report. Either one of those is a great way to get in touch with G3.
Well, great. Listen, I want to thank all of you for your expertise and insight that you provided, and I want to thank everybody in the audience for taking the time to listen to today's presentation. Thank you very much.